Okay, so there's this basketball tournament that they're going to be doing. It's going to be in Vegas at the MGM Resorts, and they're calling it the Players Era Festival. And it's an NIL-driven tournament that they're putting together, and it's going to cost them millions of dollars to do it because each team that is playing in this tournament, this will be over Thanksgiving. Well, they're not playing on Thanksgiving, but they're playing around Thanksgiving. Each team that is in the tournament, and Oregon is one of them, will get $1 million NIL payout.
To be split up equally or however the team sees fit?
I mean, I guess for its players.
Yeah, because I remember there was some talk about that at some of these tournaments now that players would be getting paid to lure some of the big dogs.
Yeah, so each team, and the 8 teams, as we mentioned in the Hot 5, are Oregon, Creighton, San Diego State, Texas A&M, Alabama, Houston, Rutgers, and Notre Dame. Those are the initial 8 teams, but they think it's going to expand to 16 next year and maybe even more after that. Each team gets $1 million NIL payout, and all players will receive future earnings opportunities through long-term NIL contracts.
I don't even know what that means.
I don't either. It's very vague, but I'm guessing
just by participating, or if you win it.
No, just playing in it.
Oh, okay. So I wonder if you get like a small stake in future revenues from it or something like that. Like, how does that work?
I don't know. Maybe future. You get. I don't know. I'm trying to figure how you would do that. I would say, like, is it a marketing thing? But I don't know. But you would assume how many guys on a college roster? Like, how many scholarship players you got? Like, what, 15?
Maybe not even that.
On a college, so I mean, if you get $1 million,
oh yeah, probably. I think like
12.
11.
Yeah, 11 or 12.
So every one of those guys, if they do it equally, and I don't know how that's all going to work, but you'd be peeling off, maybe 100 G's to a kid. That's pretty tasty. Like, there's going to be some guys doing real well. We don't know exactly how the payments are going to go, but we do know that there's going to be roughly $22 million now. Set aside for these guys between college basketball and football players, and then your regular NIL, and now something like this, you have a chance to make some good money. I mean, it's why it killed like the G League Ignite. I mean, the top players and even just solid players are going to be making $500,000.
Yeah, and I would imagine that teams are going to want to play in this tournament.
Yeah,
to do right by their players.
Absolutely. Well, when you're talking about recruiting a kid, and you're like, hey, we'll play in one of these tournaments every year, and that's an extra $100,000 we're putting right in your pocket. Absolutely.
Yeah. So they've committed to a 5-year plan in Vegas in an attempt to make the Players Era Festival the premier November college basketball multi-team event. Each team, at least next year, including Oregon, is guaranteed to play 3 games.
Yeah.
So not just 2. So the winners of the 2 4-team brackets will play.
Yeah.
And then they're also saying that as they expand to more teams, they will, for the first time in college sports history, they will do like group stage play, like FIFA or like FIBA in World Cup.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
and then that moves into a single elimination bracket.
Well, and there'll be more money available there. And by the way, this isn't the only tournament that's going to do this. You're now going to get competing, tournaments, and you also wonder too now, like with. I remember, like, you have like the Pigskin Classic and the Black Coaches, Kickoff Classic in college football. All these neutral site games. Where you go down and play at SoFi, or you play down in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. This is coming to college football. Guaranteed. Hey, these payouts for some of these teams are a couple $1 million, which is why they do them, even though a lot of these sites aren't really neutral. Like Oregon can go down and play Georgia, and they play them in the Falcon Stadium. You're like, that's a neutral site game.
Isn't this we talked about this a couple weeks ago about private equity moving into college athletics?
Yeah.
Isn't this the start of that?
Kind of feels like
because,
it.
I mean, these organizers have nothing to do with these schools. They're just going to make a bunch of money. They're like, hey, come play in our tournaments.
Yeah.
We're going to put on 5 of these. We're going to hold it in Vegas. We'll pay you some NIL money. We'll give each school $1 million to show up. We'll incentivize you so you get there. And then we're going to make $1 gajillion off of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I don't know. It's just.
This is the future.
It is the future. And I was just reading, and maybe we can get to this tomorrow, but I was reading about Washington's cash flow deficit. It's like $30 million just next fiscal year or this upcoming fiscal year.
Remember, they don't get a full payout from the Big Ten for a while.
No, so if you add everything, and I think it's like stadium renovation payments that they have to start paying, all the costs of going into the Big Ten, everything nets out to at least just for next year, and I think the fiscal year starts July 1. they are at a $30 million cash
Ouch.
flow deficit,
That hurts.
which does hurt. But this is an example, and a small example of what we'll have bigger examples of. There's always money out there. Like, yes, you're going to be operating at a disadvantage for a while. In the case of Washington, and these schools are always talking about, oh, there's no money. What are we going to do? You're going to do things like this, and you're going to make money off of it. There's always because people want to watch your teams play basketball and particularly football. So because of that, hey, schools are going to operate in the red for a while, but it's eventually there are enough revenue streams that it's all going to be worth it.
Yeah.
So all this stuff about, oh, it's just this, how does this model even work? And there's no way. Get out of here.
Yeah.
These TV contracts are so big, and things like this will only get bigger. There will be revenue streams all over the place, and the players are going to benefit too.
Yeah.
But these schools are going to be fine. Washington is getting loans from the Big Ten, from Fox, and from their own university fund
to help them out, and then
and
then eventually down the road when they get the full share and everything
they'll
will
be fine.
They'll be fine.
They're bridging the gap, and that's really what college sports is right now. So I just get kind of tired of the doom and gloom. Oh, how could this ever work? And this is the end of everything. No, it's not. It's only going to get better.
Yeah, and it's just going to be different. And we got someone on the Vancouver text line that said, "Give me the Great Alaskan Shootout, just basketball, no freaking money." I understand that sentiment, but the only people that works out for is the non-players.
That era is long
Yeah, but
gone.
can we talk about his actual point? What? I'm sorry, that's dumb. If I watch the Great Alaskan Shootout from 1995 and I watch this tournament, what I'm seeing as a fan, there's no difference.
It's just great basketball.
It's no difference.
It's just that
what is he talking about?
For people, it's just the purity thing because now it feels like a bunch of mercenaries, but that's just what sports is.
Yeah, but that
thing, once they tip the ball off, though, no one is still
You're
thinking
not
about,
seeing the NIL.
oh, I bet that guy is really money hungry, jacking up that three. Like, I don't think that works that way.
Well, and when you were watching the Great Alaskan Shootout, and by the way, I went to those when I was growing up, and no offense, but when you saw Kansas and Kentucky roll through, guess what? Those kids were getting paid. You just didn't know about it. It's the idea. We're going to always have the people that struggle with the idea of these. It was the only argument that anyone had to kids not getting paid was, well, I didn't get paid and they're getting a scholarship and I didn't get a scholarship. And it comes down to just being bitter. And you'll get a lot of, even ex-athletes are going to be bitter about this. But the bottom line is this years ago became $1 billion industry. And the courts have even said it. You can't have $1 billion industry and not pay your labor. It doesn't work. But, it's going to be different because it's only a matter of time before Michigan State has already done this, but it won't be just the Washington Huskies pretty soon. It's going to be the Alaska Airlines Washington Huskies.
Well, sure.
It's going to be the Washington Huskies brought to you by Boeing.
That's right.
And it's going to be the University of Oregon football team brought to you by Nike Athletics.
Well, one of the things that came out last week was that they're talking about putting branding on all of the fields.
Yes.
Recently, it had just been, your school logo, your conference logo, and they're like, alcohol, everything's up for grabs. Like all the things we used to shun, that's how you're going to fund your program.
It will be there. There'll be logos on your uniform. This is going to be. And by the way, someone pointed out, how do you keep kids from opting out of bowl games? Bowl games are going to have to start paying kids. Plain and simple. Like, hey, you get a $15 million bowl payout. Well, you better break off some of that for the kids. This is just the way it is. No one's working for free anymore. And it fascinates me that we have so many people in our country because anytime you bring up socialism or any sort of collective, we lose our effing mind. And we yell and scream about America and this is America and capitalism. And yet, the first time that a player, someone stood up and was like, dude, I'm not doing this for free. You don't get to decide just that I get paid in my little scholarship here and nothing else. Like that, the first time someone brings up that, we freak out about it. You would think that as a country, as America, we would embrace this, but God, we seem to fight it at every turn.